There's a quiet pattern showing up in real portfolios right now, and almost nobody is talking about it loud enough. While most people are arguing about whether the market is about to crash or rip higher, a handful of boring, profitable cash-generating businesses are sitting there getting stronger every single quarter, and the patient money is loading up while the noisy money is busy panicking. Stick around for the next few minutes, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly which stocks belong on your radar right now if you actually want to build wealth instead of just talking about it. And if you have not done it yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because on Ticker Hawk, we break this stuff down the same plain, honest way every single time. No hype, no fluff. Just what actually matters for long-term investors like you. Let us start with the bigger picture, because you cannot understand individual stocks without understanding the environment they are trading in. Right now, the market is staring at one of the busiest stretches of major public offerings it has seen in years. Several enormous private companies are lining up to go public, and when that much new supply hits the market at once, it usually tells you something important about where we are in the cycle. Historically, when the IPO calendar gets this crowded, it means the bull run has already been running hot for a while, because private companies and their bankers love to cash in when investor appetite is at its peak, not when it is weak. That does not mean you should panic or sit on the sidelines waiting for some perfect moment to buy. It simply means you should be paying closer attention to valuation, because froth tends to build up in pockets of the market, even while the overall trend stays healthy. The lesson here is simple, and it is one of the oldest lessons in investing. You do not try to time the exact top. You focus on what you own and whether the price you're paying makes sense for the business you are actually buying. There's also a quieter accounting story playing out underneath all the excitement around artificial intelligence spending. And this is something every long-term investor over 45 should understand before getting too excited about flashy growth numbers. The biggest technology companies are pouring unprecedented amounts of money into chips, data centers, and infrastructure. That spending does not just disappear from the books. It gets spread out and depreciated over several years. What that means in plain English is that even if revenue keeps climbing nicely, reported profits for some of these giants could look weaker than expected over the next couple of years, simply because of how much equipment they are writing down. This is not a reason to avoid great companies. It is a reason to separate short-term earnings noise from long-term business quality, and to understand why a stock with an attractive-looking valuation today might not move the way you expect over the next 12 to 24 months. Investors who understand this distinction tend to hold through the noise instead of getting shaken out right before the real payoff arrives. Now let us talk about where some smart, patient money appears to be positioning itself, because this is where things get interesting for anyone building a long-term portfolio. Beauty and personal care has quietly become one of the more compelling value stories in the market. ELF Beauty has built a real, loyal customer base by offering quality products at prices that do not require people to choose between skincare and groceries. And in an economy where shoppers are watching every dollar, that kind of value proposition tends to win market share year after year. The company has shown it can grow without the kind of bloated spending that sinks so many consumer brands, and that discipline is exactly what long-term investors should be hunting for. Right alongside that is the beverage space, where Celsius Holdings continues to carve out shelf space in a category that used to be dominated by just one or two old names. Energy drinks are one of those habits that simply do not go away once people adopt them. And Celsius has managed to position itself as the healthier, more modern choice for a generation that cares about what goes into their bodies. When you see a brand consistently expanding its retail footprint even while the broader market chops sideways, that is usually a sign the underlying business has real staying power, not just a temporary trend. Streaming deserves a mention here too, because the conversation around this industry has shifted dramatically over the past few years. Netflix has moved past the expensive subscriber land grab phase and into a period where profitability and free cash flow actually matter, and matter a lot. A company that can keep growing its audience while also expanding margins is exactly the kind of business that rewards patient shareholders, especially compared to newer streaming entrants that are still burning cash trying to catch up. Of course, no long-term conversation is complete without talking about the giants that everyone already knows, but few people actually understand at the balance sheet level. Nike has gone through a rough stretch, and rough stretches are exactly when great brands go on sale. This is a company with nearly impossible to replicate global brand power, the kind of asset that does not evaporate just because a couple of quarters disappointed Wall Street. Patient investors who have watched Nike navigate difficult periods before know that the brand tends to come out the other side stronger, and buying quality brands during their quiet years has historically been one of the more reliable ways to build wealth over a decade or two. American Express belongs in this conversation as well, because it sits at the intersection of two things that never go out of style: spending by financially healthy customers and a brand that signals status and trust. The company has built a customer base that tends to keep spending through economic ups and downs, which gives it a kind of resilience that a lot of other financial companies simply do not have. Estee Lauder is another name worth watching closely, since the business has been working through a difficult stretch in certain international markets, but the core franchise of prestige beauty brands remains intact. And companies in the middle of a turnaround often get mispriced by investors who are only looking backward instead of forward. Software companies built for large businesses, the kind that handle customer relationships and internal operations, have also been pushed aside lately while investors chase flashier corners of the market. Salesforce and ServiceNow both sit in this category, and both have spent the last couple of years building real artificial intelligence tools directly into the products that big companies already depend on every single day. When the broader market eventually rotates away from pure hardware excitement and back toward the software that actually runs on top of all that hardware, these are exactly the kinds of businesses that tend to benefit. Patience here is the price of admission, not a flaw in the thesis. Financial technology is another area worth your attention, and SoFi continues to build out a full suite of banking, lending, and investing products aimed at a generation that increasingly does not want to deal with a traditional bank branch at all. The company has steadily worked towards sustainable profitability, and businesses that manage to turn the corner from growth at all costs into actual consistent earnings tend to get rewarded by the market once that shift becomes undeniable. Now, before you go anywhere, I want you to do something for me. Drop a comment down below and tell me which one of these names you already own, or which one you are thinking about adding to your portfolio, because I read every single comment, and it genuinely shapes what we cover in future videos. And if this kind of breakdown is helpful to you, do me a favor and share it with one other person you know who is trying to get serious about investing, because that is honestly the best way to support this channel. Let us also be honest about the mega cap names that dominate every headline. Meta and Amazon remain extraordinarily powerful businesses with enormous reach into how people communicate, shop, and consume content. The heavy spending happening across both companies right now will weigh on reported earnings for a while, but the underlying engines driving their revenue, advertising on one side and cloud computing along with retail logistics on the other, remain as strong as ever. The mistake most investors make with companies like this is expecting a straight line higher. Great businesses rarely move in a straight line. They move in waves, with periods of consolidation that test your patience right before the next leg of growth begins. One thing that tends to separate successful long-term investors from everyone else is how they handle uncertainty about where the broader market is headed in the short run. There will always be a debate raging about whether stocks are about to pull back, whether interest rates are going to fall further, or whether the next 12 months bring smooth sailing or turbulence. Smart, experienced voices disagree with each other constantly, and trying to predict the exact next move is closer to entertainment than it is to investing. The far more reliable approach, the one that has worked across every single market cycle in history, is identifying quality businesses trading at reasonable prices and steadily building positions over time, regardless of what the headlines are shouting that particular week. Every major downturn in market history eventually turned into a buying opportunity in hindsight, and the investors who benefited the most were rarely the ones trying to perfectly time the bottom. They were the ones who kept showing up, kept adding to quality companies, and let time do the heavy lifting. Let us slow down for a moment and talk about something that does not get nearly enough attention in most investing content out there, and that is position sizing. It is one thing to identify good companies, but it is an entirely different skill to decide how much of your portfolio each one deserves. A common mistake among investors in their late 40s and 50s, especially those who are getting serious about long-term wealth building a little later than they would have liked, is treating every stock idea with equal weight. That approach almost always backfires. Your highest conviction ideas, the businesses you understand deeply and believe in for the next decade, deserve a meaningfully larger slice of your portfolio than a speculative name you're still researching. At the same time, even your best idea should never grow so large that a single disappointing quarter threatens your overall financial plan. There's a balance between conviction and caution, and finding that balance is honestly more important to your long-term results than picking the single best stock in any given year. Semiconductors deserve a brief word here as well, because this corner of the market has become the engine room for almost everything happening in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and even ordinary consumer electronics. Companies like AMD have benefited enormously from the surge in demand for processing power, and the order books for the next several years already look remarkably strong. The challenge with this sector is that excitement can run far ahead of fundamentals in the short run, which means valuations can swing wildly even when the long-term growth story remains intact. For investors who already have exposure here, the lesson is not to chase every rally, but to understand that strength during weak market days is often a sign of real underlying demand rather than pure speculation. For investors who do not yet have exposure, patience around entry points matters far more in this sector than almost any other, simply because the swings can be dramatic in both directions. It is also worth touching on the broader economic backdrop, because individual stock picks do not exist in a vacuum. Two forces in particular could quietly become tailwinds for the overall economy over the next several years, and both deserve a place on your radar, even if they rarely make flashy headlines. The first is the sheer scale of infrastructure spending tied to artificial intelligence. Unlike spending that simply gets returned to shareholders through buybacks, money flowing into new construction, new facilities, and new hiring tends to circulate through the broader economy in a way that benefits far more than just the technology sector. Construction workers, suppliers, local businesses near these new facilities, and eventually consumer spending all see some benefit from that kind of capital flowing through the system. The second tailwind is the housing market, which has been unusually quiet for an extended stretch. When people are not buying or selling homes, an enormous amount of secondary economic activity simply does not happen, from renovations to new furniture purchases to local service businesses that depend on relocation. If borrowing costs continue trending lower over the coming years and that housing market wakes back up, it could provide a meaningful and underappreciated boost to the broader economy, which in turn tends to support corporate earnings across a wide range of industries, not just the ones currently grabbing headlines. I also want to address something directly, because I get versions of this question constantly. People want to know whether now is the right time to buy, or whether they should wait for a pullback first. Here is the honest answer. Nobody, no matter how experienced or well-credentialed, consistently knows where the market is headed over the next 3, 6, or 12 months. Some of the most respected investors in history have built fortunes by being early and patient, and many of those same investors have also been wrong about short-term direction more times than they would probably like to admit. The investors who actually build life-changing wealth are rarely the ones who guessed correctly about next month. They are the ones who kept buying quality businesses consistently, through good months and bad months, and let the power of compounding work quietly in the background for years at a time. If you are waiting for some perfect, risk-free entry point before you start building positions, you may end up waiting your entire life, because that moment essentially never arrives with the clarity everyone hopes for. One more thing worth mentioning before we wrap up is the importance of staying invested in businesses you actually understand and believe in for the long haul, rather than constantly chasing whatever happens to be moving the fastest that particular week. The stocks we talked about today, from beauty and beverages to footwear, financial services, enterprise software, and fintech, all share a common thread. Each one has a clear path to becoming a meaningfully larger business over the next several years, even if the next few months bring some bumps along the way. That kind of clarity is rare, and when you find it, the smartest thing you can usually do is be patient enough to let the thesis play out, instead of getting distracted every time the market has a rough week. Before you go, let me know down in the comments which of these names is already sitting in your portfolio, and which one you are planning to research further this week. Conversations like that genuinely help shape what we cover next, so do not be shy about sharing your own perspective, even if it disagrees with mine. If this video gave you something useful to think about, hit that like button. Share it with someone in your life who is trying to take their investing more seriously, and make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss the next breakdown. I will see you in the next one, right here on Ticker Hawk.